Okay, this particular article is actually directed at about 40 people. I mean, everyone else can read it if they want, but it was inspired by and directed towards 40 people, maybe 50 people at the most. And it's not meant to be anything other than a defense mechanism. And let me try to explain how this works if I can. To begin with, there's a premise in this article which is probably not quite scientific, which we have to deal with. And it works something like this. It's to do with cursing and prayers. And I'd start by saying that I wonder if you people are aware that amongst all institutionalized religions, and I'm sure you are, and all indigenous religions, there is an expectation and a belief that prayers get results. And that's something that's quite universal. It doesn't matter what religion, what team you barrack for, or who you believe the creator is, or what they look like, or what their gender is. There is a belief that prayers and invocations of good actually have an impact and work. That being the case, you have to reverse the parameters and also accept, if you believe in prayers, then you have to accept that cursing, negative thoughts and negative words can also have an impact. And that's what this article is based around. And to begin with, what we did was I based me, because it's something old, 1969, my son wasn't alive then. I based the title around an album by a group, a jazz rock fusion group in 1969, put an album out called For Those About to Die, We Salute You. And basically it was supposed to be a dedication to the gladiators before they went into battle. And it was saluting them as they died. And we changed that around to those about to curse, we salute you. And this particular article is about the fact that we've been cursed quite a few times, and from different objects, from the ring, from the skull, and from elders, and the death threats. We've had them all. And we've put up with it. The last couple of years, it's been full on. I do remember on one occasion after the ring attacked us, Evan went to bed that night. He went to bed in the middle of winter. And he's got an allergy to ticks. And we were cursed that night. When he woke up in the morning, he had 9 ticks stuck on his body. He had to get them off, and it made him incredibly sick. That same night, I was attacked. And all the weaknesses I got through being cursed by the skull, which has all been resolved, and we're great mates now after initial disagreement, probably even more than that. All of those weaknesses came out one after the other that night. Anyway, we fought off that. That was caused by the ring, and soon after the ring came back to us, and the use of that negative side of the ring isn't taking place anymore. But that's a different story. What this comes down to is on the last occasion we were cursed, it wasn't me to begin with, it was Evan. He was defending someone who was being attacked, and I'm not going to give you the details, and attacked rudely and aggressively. And Evan basically said, look, you can't do that on our website. We don't want people being argued with an attack like that. Would you please stop? The details aren't important, nor is the player, but the story is for 2 reasons. So then what took place was that we then realised, well, Evan, he had these symptoms that night. They weren't major. I've got to tell you, compared to other curses, I'm not being flippant, but get to the back of the line, because I can tell you now, we've had worse curses than this one. But he got those symptoms. And the next day, I got exactly the same symptoms. Still put up with it. And then that night I went to play tennis, and I realised not only had I been given the symptoms mildly, I'd also lost the fitness that I'd lost twice before and got back and had to walk. Basically, to begin with, I couldn't walk more than about 30 steps without being exhausted. And I got my fitness back to where it was, then I lost it again and got it back. And then I realised once again, I played tennis that night, and after one set I forfeited and went home. Someone had to come in sort of basically to sub for me. I'm driving home thinking, I'm done with this. I am so sick and tired of people cursing us. Nobody has the right to kill another human being. And I think that was one fault, maybe the only fault in original society that didn't help us. Payback. Never, never is right. Killing on behalf of a god is never right. Killing another human is wrong. And I thought to myself, I'm done with this. This has happened 4 times before, and I write about all of them. They're all in the article. But again, you don't have to read that article because it's really for them. If you want to read it too, you can. Because on that occasion, I got home and I said to my wife and to Evan, look, we've been on the defensive every time we curse. We put up rock formations. Evan, at one stage, was smoking the place, putting up salt when you were being attacked, all that stuff. Always defensive. And every time we get smashed and then we get better. And I just figured that's enough of that. This is getting ridiculous. So what I did was we knew the name of the person. They contacted us on this electronic media. I think it's Facebook. I'm not even sure. But anyway, Evan was in contact with him. And we explained to this person why what we did was the right thing to do. And you shouldn't address people like that. And then we explained what we're doing. Well, we got a comment. And it was something like excuses piled upon excuses. And this guy was going to curse us. And what he basically said was, the next time I touch an original artifact, I will die. I'm getting cursed too because I'm defending Evan. Of course, everyone was going to die if you touch one too. So we're both done for. And I thought to myself, right, that's it then. We've asked, we've tried to reason, we're going to go a different way. So I wrote back to him. Well, not wrote back, typed back. Well, actually, Evan did it. I just told him what to write. And I said, okay, fine. I've got good news and bad news. So the bad news is this. I'm going out the back, and as most people, in fact, all people in Australia, regional people, know, we are the custodians of the sacred rocks. And yes, but they are going back on the country, and we're arranging that next year with a Roman jury, and that will happen. That was always the agreement. But in the meantime, we have those rocks with us hidden in the somewhere. I'm not saying where. And I told him, I'm going to get 3 of them. And I know these 3 rocks. They are basically curse rocks, killing rocks. And I said very simply, I'm going to put them in formation. And I'm going to ask them to seek you out and defend us. And if that means that you're going to be inconvenienced, well, fine, we're now in battle. Now, I'm against doing that. I mean, I haven't eaten meat for 50 years because I don't believe in killing animals. That's just a personal thing I've got. Weakness or strength, I don't know. It's not important, but I just don't believe in doing it. So it was with reluctance. And I gave him a warning. I said, look, call the curse off and this will all stop. But I said, here's the good news. If your curse is correct, when I go out the back, put those 3 rocks in formation. And I know a few people actually have seen these rocks in formation. One that comes to mind is Trevor Wee, who's actually conversed successfully with these rocks, which is very rare. I said, I'll be dead because you said the next time I touch an artifact, I will die. Well, I'll be out the back dead. I said, that's the good news. That's the good news. I said, but there might be bad news because if I come back into the house, I'm not dead. And that means they're looking for you. So within 3 minutes, we got another reply. And this surprised me. I thought this might take hours, maybe a day. Within 3 minutes, they'd found him. And he made it clear they'd found him. And he spoke about the magic that he's been affected by. And he told us to turn it off. And within that article, because it was badly written, we couldn't understand it properly, it said that I've turned them off and tomorrow I'm going to make a curse that kills you outright and people near you. And I don't care if there's others as well. And I thought, well, this is really enlightened. I couldn't work out which was which. So I wrote back and said this, mate, I just don't know if you've turned the curse off or not. So the rocks stay in formation. 2 minutes later, we got another reply. And that was very simply this. I've turned them off. Please turn the rocks off. My curse is finished. So I went out the back straight away and did. I turned them off, asked them to leave them alone and put them out of formation. He wrote back Another 2 minutes later. And I remember exactly what he wrote. And it's the last conversation we've had. And it went great with an exclamation mark. Now leave me alone. And I nearly laughed. I couldn't because I didn't want to be disrespectful, but I kept thinking, leave you alone? You made us both sick. You told us you were going to kill us, and we're defending ourselves, and we're leaving you alone. Well, we did. We did. The curse is finished. I'm now playing tennis okay. I don't have to forfeit anymore. Evan's getting better. It made us both crook again, and we're done with it. Honestly, we had no choice. But here is the rub in the story. That guy's fine. If he does try and curse us again, he knows what's going to happen. He knows he'll lose. But this is for the other people who've done this to us before. And this is for the death threats, plural, we've received, and very explicit. It's for all the people who want to go and use the worst part of original culture to settle a personal vendetta. And that is this. Those rocks are now back in formation. They are in protection formation. They're not out to harm anyone, but they have got one job and one job alone. If a curse is sent to us, they will intercept it. They will find the people who sent that curse, and I can assure you, I won't be able to control these rocks because they will be on seek and destroy mode. They'll find the people who've cursed us, and if you feel like, okay, I've heard this today, I'm going to try it out, don't. Seriously, don't. These rocks found him in 3 minutes, and I can tell you he was begging us to turn them off. I won't be able to turn them off next time. I know what they do. I've seen what they do. It starts with a migraine, then the chest gets pressed and crushed, and then it goes further from there. We are doing this because we've got a job. Now, you may not agree with what we're doing, the way we're doing it, but we do it with elders all the time. Maybe you don't agree with them too, but we only go into country by invitation. We have about 3 or 4 invitations I've got today from different elders about different events, and we work with them. If you don't like what we're doing, put up with it. But whatever you do, whinge about it. Write horrible things if you wish, but don't curse us. Because I can tell you now, by the time you get to us with a plea to stop those rocks, and by the time I get back to the rocks, it will be too late. And I'm not even sure I can stop them. They're not there to harm anyone. Their only job is to defend us from people who want to kill us. Now, if you want to do that, I beg you now, don't do it, because it will not work out well. Now, if you want to read the article as well, that's fine. But the people who actually are doing this, I suggest, please, you must read that article. And you'll find that I'm not preaching from the pulpit. I've made a mistake like this once, and I'm prepared to admit it. This is not a vendetta, and it's not trying to get even. It's a plea. Leave us alone, and it's all cool. Say what you want about us, it's all cool. Write whatever you want about it, it's all cool. But don't sing up the spirits to deal with us, because we have them in formation forever. They stay as a protection, and they work. So we don't have a choice. So that's what that article's about. Now, on a completely less serious and more informative, I want to change that now and talk about the presentation we're doing in Byron, the 27th and 28th of November. It's a bit of a way off, but I just want to explain one thing about this that I maybe didn't make clear last time, why this has come about and why it's so thematic, in that we have different people speaking on different parts of the same story. And the reason I'm doing this is because I got a phone call a couple of days ago from an elder I have the highest respect for in Victoria, Brendan. And Brendan was the first one to raise this with me and then mentioned it again, unprompted by me. And because he gave me a time frame, I feel like I've got to push this much harder. And because the whole presentation was about this anyway. If you've heard this before, bear with me, because there's an end to this story that I didn't have from before. Brendan was the first of many to tell me about the fact that, yes, the Pleiadians were here long ago, and yes, they did share their genetics and their teachings, and we shared with them our magic, and they left. But there was an accord made that if the time was needed, they would come back and help us and assist. Well, that call was made, and Brendan was the first of dozens to tell me that it was made, and that they were coming and they would be here soon. And when they came, if there were enough people in this country, Australia, with an energy that was positive, an affirmation that was spiritual in intent and caring for the planet, if there were enough souls like that, and a certain number, is what Brenda gave me first and others confirmed, was there, they would take that energy, the Pleiadians, with this ship, and then they would push it into Uluru. Then it would go to 5 sacred points, one of which is the Standing Stone site, then around the world. Then there would be 2 vibrations, and people would be attracted to a higher vibration or lower vibration, and the higher vibration will take over and the lower vibration will disappear, and there will be healing of the planet. If it doesn't happen that way, well, we're done for anyway. I mean, we're losing 2% of the insects every year. The bees are dying. Within 40 years, there'll be no insects alive on the planet, and we'll be dead anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's this or nothing. Well, this presentation is about that. It's solely about that, and each person is speaking will be addressing different aspects of that. The past, the present, and the future. And I thought I'd bring that up because the first 9 minutes was so depressing and sort of like not a great story. We've got some really interesting stories about the ring and some other amazing rocks that have turned up that are coming up, and that's all great. But this is just one digression we have to make because I'm sick and tired of being made sick over the last 2 years, and the best way around it is to actually be proactive rather than reactive. So that's the end of that. And with this talk, please remember, this is the first time ever where all the profits go solely to the speakers. And of course, we're one of the speakers, so we get some of it, but so do the others. So it's with good intention, and it's about the most important thing, I believe, on this planet, which is the cleansing that will take place. And our job is basically to share with people that is coming. And here's the rub in this. When I was speaking to Brendan, he raised the same issue. And then he said something that I hadn't heard before. He said, and it will be here next year. So that makes this story even more important because time is now running out. And remember, you can't say, I want to become part of this after the ship comes. You have to commit yourself before the ship comes. And Brendan and so many have told me they're coming. And now I know something from a person I trust implicitly in old way in law and magic. And he said they're coming next year. Well, that's good enough for me. So I would suggest to all of us, we better get ready because we don't have much time. Until our next article.